Years and years ago, I actually had it wrong when it came to stockpiling certain foods. I thought that certain things lasted forever and ever and ever. Big mistake. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Jan. Welcome to another episode of my channel, the Save Money and More with Jan channel. How you doing today? And of course, as always, I hope that this audio video finds everybody doing well. Years and years ago, I had it in my mind's eye. Not that I practically always, went through this or put this away forever, never, never, because I would only keep at that time about 10 years ago, I would only keep enough food for about 2 weeks to 1 month. Okay. So not long than that. And I, have been trying to build it up, build it up, build it up, as anyone that has been following my journey would know. But there were certain foods that in the back of my mind's eye that I thought, well, sometimes you think certain things are going to last forever and ever and ever, and that is not true. So let's jump right into it. What did I think would last so very long? Unopened peanut butter. That is not true. That is not true. Sometimes we think peanut butter is going to last forever unopened. I did some research a while back, and I took a little bit of a personal refresher course, if you will, by just researching, of course, online and asking questions and getting some answers. And lo and behold, peanut butter does not last that long. Like I said, a few years back, I'm thinking it lasted longer than it does. All right, for example, unopened conventional peanut butter, which is, I guess, the one that you get in the supermarket. Um, the one that probably has some preservatives in it, the one that you do not have to stir. That's the way to put it. That one. Okay, unopened. Now, I thought that that would have lasted a little bit longer than this. Unopened, according to my research. Okay, unopened, 6 to 9 months. Huh? What? Yeah. Yep, unopened 6 to 9 months, according to my research. Now, let me know in the comment section below, what was your experience with peanut butter? Because sometimes you look things up, you research them, and you sort of believe it. But I like to hear from people's actual in-person experience. Please share that with us here. Like if you've had like longer term with your peanut butter or what, let me know. And once the peanut butter is open, that's another story. Okay, that's another situation. Once the peanut butter is opened, okay, now we're talking about it shortens down to 2 to 3 months. Yeah. And that is for the conventional peanut butter. Now, there are some peanut butters. I know there's so many categories, and I never realized just just how many categories there really are. Okay, so according to the categories situation, there are peanut butters that have zero preservatives in them. What would you think? Wouldn't you think the ones without any preservatives whatsoever, that they're going to last longer or shorter? Naturally shorter, okay? So we're talking about open, no preservative peanut butter lasts about a month. And mind you, this is if you put it in a cool, dry place. And that's the key too, okay? Storing certain items in a cool, dry place is really very important. All right, now this is in reference to our friend ramen noodles, all right? Dried ramen noodles. Ta-da! Some people think they last forever, never in their pantry. I don't know. So I said, let me run a check on that. As you know, I was curious about that as per my recent video about this. So, according to the research, the dried ramen noodles actually have a shelf life of about 8 to 12 months. So that's pretty long. I mean, like I always say, we don't create the longer term pantry items for like forever, never. Now, that's not to be confused with certain emergency pantry items, but we could talk about that on another show. However, 8 to 12 months is pretty good. Because when do people start loading up their longer term pantry items? I tend to notice that people tend to load up a couple of times a year, particularly in the late summer, early fall. Does that sound about right to anyone listening to this? Sometimes people, conversely do that at another time of the year, like maybe spring going into summer. I guess it depends on the type of things that people are storing. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Now, I personally had an experience with now let's move it on over to specifically cup of noodle type thing. You know, those conveniently made like styrofoam type of a cup with noodles in it, just pour the water over it. All right, and makes a soup. Don't get me wrong, those are very convenient. They're lightweight, they're inexpensive. You could take them with you. Doesn't get better than that. I could bring it to work, pour it, got hot water at work, pour it over the thing. You have yourself a fast lunch, and doesn't get better than that as far as convenience or cost. But they too have a specific kind of a shelf life. They don't last as long as you might think. And I checked it out. I investigated it on this Google search, if you will. Cup of soup noodles. Guess how long that lasts? Just in case, not forever and a day. All right. However, 6 to 8 months. Okay. And one time in myself personally, and I could attest to it, I'm thinking, well, that was just sitting on my shelf a little bit of time. Sometimes we forget. Sometimes we think it was there shorter when it was actually there longer on our shelves. That's why it's always important to be mindful, very mindful, and rotate our stockpile. So I took it with me somewhere, put the hot water on it. But when I first opened, it didn't look right. The coloring didn't look right. It didn't even smell right. Just then I put the hot water on it to see what's going on. Let's just say I was not happy. I was not a fan of what I saw. I'm just trying to be kind, but that's not on them. That's on Jan. Okay. Jan bought those cup of noodles thinking, presuming, oh, this is going to last, whatever. And I thought I was using it up quickly. And sometimes you just don't. Okay. So I'm just saying the truth. So that was my experience with that situation. And I'm mentioning this. And of course, the one common thing that I've noticed about everything that I researched about this, they all say the same thing. And what is that? And it's universally correct. Store in a cool, dry place. Now, for example, let's say that I purchased this thing in March, that type of cup of noodle type thing in March, right? And all of a sudden, the summer comes, and sometimes it's not always cool and dry as much as you'd like it to be, or you don't use high enough air conditioning or whatever. And then comes September, and the weather starts getting a little nippy around here in this part of the country. It does. It starts getting a little, I mean, comfortably nippy, the way I like it, dried out, beautiful, perfect. But then you start craving hot foods more than usual, not like as if during the summertime. Okay, so now I want a cup of noodles to take with me conveniently wherever, right? And it's, let's say, like getting near past its prime or whatever. And then that could happen. So just be mindful. Again, it goes back to being mindful, rotating your stockpile. So things don't last forever and ever and ever. So like be, very mindful of, let's say, things like peanut butter. And keep in mind that peanuts in and of themselves, and peanut butter is made from peanuts, and there's like that natural oil in it, I believe. And don't forget, oils can turn rancid. So anything with an oil-based product would have a tendency to turn rancid after a while. I want to throw in something that happened to me not that long ago. I might have mentioned it in the video, but all the videos that I do, or I might have intended to mention this in a video. I'm going to mention it now anyway. So if you heard it before, bear with me a second for those that may not have heard it before. I purchased, I believe it was 32 ounce jar of one of my favorite mayos. Okay. And it's really, really quite good. And this never happened before, ever, ever. So this one I happened to get on a delivery, and when I took it out of the bag, it looked perfect. Looked absolutely perfect. So I put it in my refrigerator. Now, it might have been too far in the back of the fridge, too far in the back, and it might have separated. If you see, it didn't look separated when I removed it from my bag upon delivery. But when I wanted to open up the jar, I didn't keep it like on a pantry shelf. I put it right away in the refrigerator, the jar. But this, refrigerator tends to get extremely cold, okay? And depending on where you put it, it might have happened for this reason, okay? So the mayonnaise started to separate. And when I, checked it out, I'm like, why I went to use it and I see like oil at the top, and they say be very careful with that. It could have been just something you could just stir it and maybe it's okay. And if it goes back to normal, then it could have separated due to that. But I didn't want to take a chance. Who wants to get sick? I mean, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to take a chance. So be mindful. And everywhere I looked, it said, don't, if you see that, just avoid using it. So that's what happened to me. I don't know what happened or why. It could be that, could have been a temperature thing. It could have been a different thing. There could have been like a break inside of the seal that I couldn't see or whatever. And then you know that there's a problem within it. So rather than take a chance on my health, I said, no, no, I'm just not going to. So be very mindful of things. Sometimes you get things, they look great when you get them, then later on something else. So I just thought I would mention that, felt that it was very, very important. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everybody's time. Have an amazing upcoming weekend. Take good care of yourself and your lovely family, but don't forget to click like, share, and of course, subscribe. Thank you.